Oh, hey. Just playing some Devil May Cry 5. Pretty awesome, right? Look at that. Those things are ugly. What? Remember here. Look, I know I was supposed to get this done in February, but... fine. Alright, let's do this really quick. Don't judge me. I like the Wii U. Big one. Alright. Since I got Devil May Cry to get back to, let's do this quick and dirty. Just the way Travis likes it. But first, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a warning. Violent content and sexual content, warning. This game has it all. Believe me, it earns that M rating. But, yeah, so if you guys are offended with any of that, please click away from the video. I'm promise by this time next year I'll probably be doing very more age-appropriate content, but for now it's a bit devious. So, with that out of the way, guys, let's get into it. My history with No More Heroes 2 really starts out almost directly after the first game, and yeah, I played the crap out of the second game just as much as I did the first game, but yeah, there's a little bit of a problem. See, I ended up liking the first game more. I know, it's almost blasphemous, especially with all the problems that the first game has. I'm not sure what it is, but it probably has something to do with that ending. Anyway, yeah, unfortunately, I actually am a fan of the first game more than I am a fan of the second game, which is probably why it took me so long to get back into it and actually beat the second game. So I apologize for that, but for now, let's get on with it. Honestly, this is the weird part about the development cycle of No More Heroes. It never was meant to have a sequel. The ending was supposed to be just ambiguous as all hell, and yeah, it wasn't actually meant to have a second game, and it probably would have had a third game way sooner if the game actually sold well. No More Heroes 2 didn't sell very well compared to the first game, so there's that. But yeah, is the sequel living up to the first game's glory? Well, not in sales, but honestly, most people who have played both games will cite that this one is their favorite. So there's got to be something here, right? I mean, it's not necessarily my favorite, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm the major opinion on that. I am definitely in the minority there. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Let's take on Jasper Batt Jr. Wait, the name of the villain is what? So the game starts out on the same rooftop that the last game started out in, where Travis was fighting in a cutscene. I think he was fighting Helter Skelter? And now he's fighting Skelter Helter. But hey, it's a boss fight this time, so totally better, right? Anyway, Travis kills the guy, ends up as the 51st ranked assassin, and Sylvia's like, hey, you should totally get back up the ranks again, because we're legit now, and I'm not sure how the hell this became legit, but hey, there you go. And Travis is like, please. And Sylvia's like, hey, but, you know, you got me, and I'll you know, be there the whole time. And he's like, I had a taste. And she's like, a taste? Yeah, we kissed, dude. You didn't get the whole package. She kisses his beam katana. It lights up awkwardly, and off we go. But not before the suddenly headless but still somehow talking Skelter Helter gives a few ominous words, and the next cutscene we see, they killed Bishop! Oh man, he's like one of my favorite characters from the first game. Okay, yeah, I hinted about this in the first review. Unfortunately, yeah, Bishop dies in this game, and I don't think anybody was actually really all that connected to him. I tried to hype it up, but yeah. Anyway, Travis has delivered his head, and now Travis has more of a reason than just getting laid to kill the number one spot. And that would be that the number one guy killed Bishop, or at least hired some goons to do so. The guy basically runs the city too, so yeah, Travis is actually doing some good by killing this little shit, believe me. But first, he's got to go through all the ranks. Well, on his way there, he pretty much learns that the whole reason he's in this mess is because he wanted revenge. And unfortunately, when you're looking for vengeance, you kind of piss people off in the process. You can't kill without having people die. And unfortunately, Travis lost somebody that was close to him. And unfortunately, there's a possibility that he could lose other people too that's close to him. He doesn't, but there's a possibility there. And I think that's kind of the main whole focus of the story. It's more of a character-driven story this time around. Not that we don't get some updates from the fact that Sylvia stopped Henry and Travis from killing each other from the first game. The fact that Henry was captured at one point in time. And Shinobu basically becoming a full-fledged assassin. She's no longer 16, she's now 18 and rocking some lingerie? Huh. Look, the story isn't the main focus this time around. It's a bit darker, to be honest. Like, the last time it was just kind of this fun little thing and you found out about the revenge scheme towards the end of it. This time, the revenge part is kind of on the front of Travis's mind, and getting laid is an afterthought. Although it does actually happen this time around, which I find to be kind of interesting. But, yeah, the weird on and off again love story between Sylvia and Travis does kind of meet ahead. That wasn't supposed to be a dirty joke, but now that I say it out loud, it kind of sounds like a dirty joke. Anyway, nonetheless, it does come to a point. And yeah, the revenge scheme kind of comes to a point too. Travis honestly is sick of killing because killers are just treated like they're not humans. And unfortunately, these games affect the lives of many people. Not just the killers, but the people close to the killers. And that causes problems with them. So, yeah, it's kind of one of those stories. Not too awfully deep, it's pretty simple, but it's anything but lighthearted. However, a story like this depends heavily on the characterization of the main character, so does that succeed in any capacity? Well, shockingly, yes. Travis's characterization is really, really good. Surprising. But yeah, he grows as a character and he begins to realize that these people that he's killing aren't just regular everyday enemies in a video game. They mean something, and they end up meaning something to him. The problem is that the story is also reliant on the characters Travis meets along the way. And unfortunately, not all of them are winners. Some characters have weird quirks, and their basic only reason for existing is to fight Travis Touchdown. That's it. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely some really good characters like Margaret Moonlight and Alice Twilight. Or Captain Vladimir, for example. Those are really good characters. But for every one of these characters, there's a Matt Helm who, yeah, he's got some tragic background, or there's also, what's his name? Charlie? I can't remember. He rides the Death Parade, and honestly the most interesting thing about his character is that he fights with his cheerleaders by creating a giant mech. How is he not number one yet? Seriously. And even the main villain is just terrible. There's nothing satisfying about the main villain whatsoever, and yeah, I get it. I believe there was an interview that said that the main villain was created specifically because the whole point of the game was revenge isn't supposed to be satisfying. It's not supposed to be this gratifying thing. Like, well, you killed my best friend, but now I killed you and I'm so happy about it. No, it's supposed to be miserable and, you know, torment people. The problem is this is a video game and it's not supposed to redirect reality. It's supposed to be a whole different version of reality. Like, it's an escapism kind of thing. So what happened is that the character, Jasper Batt Jr., is basically... The whole reason for this whole game is because of some side missions from the first game. Remember how I mentioned that there was the side mission where you specifically... You remember the Pizza Corporation family that you killed in the first game? You killed the CEO and his 2 kids. Turns out he had a 3rd kid, and since Travis left before the 3rd kid could come to town, he ended up inheriting the business and taking over the entire city, and wanted revenge on Travis because his whole family was murdered. The problem is he's still a kid. His design is stupid. His whole moniker is stupid. He's got a pizza tattooed to his face, which is ridiculous. And he fights in a car, a superhero suit, and then a giant float balloon. Not only is the fight terrible, the character's terrible. He doesn't stand out at all. He doesn't have any motivational background or anything like that. He's just some whiny kid who lost his parent and his 2 brothers to corporate greed, and then he decides to be the greediest one of them all. And then dies for it. That's it. That's the only characterization you're getting from this guy. And that's bad. That's so bad. The other characters are fine. You get some decent characterization from Shinobu. Henry's in this. You get some funny dialogue from him here and there. And that's it. Really, not many of the boss fights are all that memorable. And if they are, it's because they have such a weird quirk to them. It's not because of their background or their personality or anything like that. Their personality isn't good, it's just weird. And I'm not saying that's all the bosses. There's some really good boss fights here. Margaret Moonlight is a fascinating character, Captain Vladimir, and Alice Twilight. I mentioned those 3 because those are the 3 that I remember specifically for having really good characterization. It's exhausting, unfortunately. There's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad here. And I think that's part of the reason why I personally prefer the first one. Yeah, those characters are a bit more grounded than these ones in this game, but I liked most of them to some degree at least. So, yeah, but not everyone is out for a good story or good writing or anything like that. So, let's take a look at what makes a video game an actual, you know, interactive piece of media, hence the term interactive. And look at the gameplay, shall we? The nice thing about the gameplay section this time around is that there's really not much new here. They took the gameplay from the first game and made it run smooth as butter. Yeah, this game actually plays better than the first one, and I thought the first one played fine, so that's at least really cool. And there's a few new features too. The dark side modes return, but there's a few different ones, including my favorite, which turns Travis into a tiger and has everyone crap themselves and run away screaming in terror. Whew, love that one. There's also this kind of super burst mode that I completely forgot was in the game until after I dealt with the final boss and all of his bull crap. Oh, that would have been so useful. But yeah, there's a little tiger towards the bottom of the screen, and when he's all raring to go and ready to attack, you can actually just, you know, utilize it for a burst of invincibility. And better attack power and all that stuff. You can also find a pornographic magazine to also boost the tiger. It's Travis's chakra, so to speak. Yeah. Anyway, there's also a few things with some of the new swords. You get the original sword that Travis had. I can't remember what the heck it's called, but yeah, his original beam katana is definitely back, as well as Tsubaki Mark III. I suppose it'd be Bloodberry. I think it's called Bloodberry. I can't remember the names. I'm horrible at this. But yeah, Tsubaki Mark III definitely makes a comeback, and it's It's not as good as it was, but it's definitely faster than, say, Peony, which is a new blade that you can buy, and it basically gets longer as the tiger gets more excited. Oh boy, this is awkward. It's physically the strongest one in the game, but it's also the slowest sword in the game too, so it's not really good against anything that shoots. And there's plenty of that, but I'll get into that in a bit. Last but certainly not least, you have, I believe it's called Rose Nasty? Yeah. It's actually a dual-bladed beam katana where you basically get two blades. Like an old samurai, you basically get to hack anything to pieces. It's one of the fastest blades in the game, and it's pretty dang potent too. It's considered to be the best weapon overall in the game. Although different situations definitely calls for different blades, but for the most part you could probably use the dual-bladed beam katana for most situations. There's a few that Peony are better suited for. There's a little bit more here because I almost forgot to mention this actually, but there's two missions where Shinobu Jacobs is actually playable. And yeah, you might think, hey, it's totally cool that we have a new playable character. Yeah, this comes with a load of problems. Honestly, the level design with her is not really built for her specifically anyway. Her boss fights are mediocre at best, and she does not play well. She taunts after every combo, and it leaves her so wide open, it's ridiculous. And I'm on normal difficulty. You can imagine what the harder difficulties are like when enemies are more aggressive. You're probably going to get hit every freaking time you taunt. You can stall it by jumping or, stalling so she doesn't necessarily finish the combo with the next move, but it's still an absolute pain in the ass. And Henry is playable for one boss fight. Henry is awesome. He flies around the stage like a dang anime character, and the boss fight is, it's okay. But, yeah. These two playable characters are interesting. Like I said, Shinobu, they're both mandatory, but Shinobu is easily the worst one. Henry's fun, but you only get to see him in one boss fight, so that kind of sucks. Thankfully, a lot of this is based on the level design and how the bosses work and how the levels work, so let's go check that out, shall we? So, the levels this time around. You remember me talking about the original No More Heroes where they had all sorts of crazy level gimmicks. Like one you fought in a bus, one you fought in a subway, sometimes you fought in like a studio with all sorts of crazy enemies. One time you fought a beach where there's mines that you gotta worry about. There's none of that here. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I don't think the levels are all that great. There's a couple of times that you fight in like a hotel or a mall or something like that. And I'm not saying that the levels are bad, but they're definitely more traditional. For the most part, all you're doing is hacking through baddies. That's it. And there's definitely more variety with the baddies. Like, there's some hand-to-hand combats. There's big, huge guys with beam katanas that are definitely harder to take down. There's guys with pistols. There's guys with Uzis. And whoever decided that was a good idea can, get shot in the leg. I hate them. I hate long-range combatants in this game because they will drag the entirety of any level that you might be enjoying to a screeching halt. And unless you're well aware that they're there in the background, they're probably going to be a pain. Oh, and yeah, you can take them on first, but you basically have to stop what you're doing if they come around a corner or spawn in while you're already tackling somebody. And then they shoot you. They're fun. Not really. They're terrible. But yeah, there's definitely a variety of mooks this time around, and that's probably mostly a good thing. Not counting the gunners, of course. But the levels for the most part, they just don't do anything with it. There's just different formations of Mook in different settings, and that's basically it. It's kind of boring, if I'm to be honest. Considering you already don't build much with your gameplay, it's basically the same, combo set that you're working with, just with different weapons. And the same exact moves. And again, there's more variety, but you see most of these varieties within like the 3rd or 4th level. There's guys with chainsaws, there's guys with axes, and they are damage sponges, but they're everywhere. And the game only decides that, hey, you don't need different mooks, you don't need different situations to fight these guys in. You just need more of them thrown at you. Yeah! Alright! No, that's not how this works, guys. Come on. The biggest issue with the last game is that since you had to grind out money just to get to these levels, the grinding got repetitive. Here, the levels are just repetitive, and that's what baffles me the most. Like, you had such cool levels the last time, and yeah, they weren't like the funnest thing. The main reason was to go after the bosses anyway, but at least the levels were somewhat entertaining, they were somewhat varied, they were somewhat unique. It doesn't really happen here, and I know what you're thinking. Well, Sauron, what about the boss fights? Are they really good? Are they awesome? And yes and no. Unfortunately, again, just like with the characterization, for every good one, there's probably a bad one sitting in the way. Some definite good ones would be, again, the Death Parade mech fight, because what the hell? I had a friend actually compare this mech that Travis is using to the one that Dexter's family uses in Dexter's laboratory. Like, holy crud. That's how silly this is. It's stupid, but it's awesome all at the same time. And then you have fights with, Alice Twilight. Holy crud, she's basically General Grievous, and a worthy opponent to be a final boss fight. The actual final boss fight is trash, however. I'll get to him in a second, but let's go back to some of the other ones. Captain Vladimir, that's definitely a unique boss fight, because he's shooting lasers and psychic rocks at you. So that fight's really fun. Margaret Moonlight is really fun to fight. She has dual sights. She's a master just like you are at her weapon trade. Dual sights with rifles on them. Just such a cool design. But then you have characters like Matt Helms. It's just basically a big guy with a torch. And he also happens to be undead. That's his quirk. The fight's not great. His personality is not great. The first boss, who I can't remember the name to whatsoever, he's a rapper. He's black, but he also has a really thick Irish accent. He also uses crappy booby traps, and, when you're actually fighting him, it's fun, but the booby traps make things quite a bit more annoying than they ever needed to be. You have this girl, who I don't remember her personality other than she was locked up, and, yeah, it didn't take me long to dice her with peony. Not gonna lie, she's really weak to peony. I'm not sure if she's tougher with different weapons, but I sliced through her pretty quickly. So, yeah, you also have the final boss fight. I can go through some more good ones. This Battle Royale with Dr. Let's Shake, you actually get to fight him, and you actually get to fight Skelter Helter, unlike his brother. And those were decent boss fights, to say the least. There's also a secret boss fight, but I'll talk about that later. But, yeah, let's get on to the bad boss fight here. This final boss fight is one of the worst ever. Okay? Look, I hate this boss fight. This is worse than Joker on Titan formula for me, okay? This is terrible. And it doesn't help that the first form is really super easy. It's ridiculously easy. It really is. It's almost a laugh how easy this is. It's stupid. The second form is ridiculously tough. Holy crap, what the hell? Yeah, I get it, he's on like steroids and all sorts of other medications, but geez Louise. He can also one-shot you if he hits you at the wrong angle. Yeah, if he hits you at a certain angle, you just fly through the window and die. Doesn't matter how good your health is looking, you die. He also has a hurricane punch that's near impossible to dodge, and he has a tendency to teleport and smack you around, which is also nearly impossible to dodge. Real fun. And don't get me started on the balloon fight. Honestly, I had to look up a strategy for this thing. It's terrible. He's got like this weird breath attack that you can't dodge. You can't really do anything with it, and it also lowers your beam katana. So now you're dodging his attacks again while trying to charge up your beam katana, and if he just spams the breath attack, you die. However, I looked up strategies, and while nobody could tell me a decent way to actually avoid or dodge or do anything with it, I found out most people just run up to him and spam the attack button as much as they possibly can and as quickly as they can. And surprisingly, that works. Yeah, just spamming the attack button as fast as you can right up next to him is the best method. You don't even have to dodge. Like, dodging is a waste of time because half the time he doesn't even hit you. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. But at least it finally killed him. And the death animation isn't even satisfying. This is terrible. Let's get on with the secrets, shall we? Because I think you guys know my opinions on the level design. So there's actually not many secrets. At one point in time, if you go back to the hotel after you kill the death parade machine, you get a phone call that says somebody wants to challenge you. They're lower in the ranks and they want to raise up. They're also a graduate at an assassin academy? How legit did this all get? Jeez Louise. But, yeah, you gotta go and tango with them, and I hate to say it, but it's kind of a fun boss fight. She basically does a Darth Maul with her katana and fights you like that, and you wrestle her to the ground. Booyah! But outside of that, there's really not many secrets per se. You can get clothes and customize your outfit like you could in the last game, and you can go and kill the, 5-6 guys who actually killed Bishop? You can find out who they are and basically go take them down. They're all gangsters anyway. So you kill them and you get the ability to wear no jacket. Or no shirt at all, I think. It says no shirt. I didn't really try it out. But, yeah, you have that. And all the side quests, the side jobs to make money, they're all side quests. You don't have to do any of these. Which is a shame because they're stupidly fun. What the hell? The last time they were mediocre at best side jobs. This time they're actually really fun, and you don't actually have to do any of these. But it's nice that there's a fun way to do training and clothes shopping. Yeah, training costs money too, and these minigames also suck. 2 of which are near impossible at some point in time, and that's strength training, naturally. That probably would help me out in the final boss fight, but I can't even do these anyway. The stamina training is just a treadmill. The strength training, you have to punch these weights and dodge kisses from this Freddie Mercury knockoff. And, yeah, honestly, it's not as fun as it probably should be, considering the side jobs to make the money, like bug catching and meteor whatever and puzzle solving. These are actually really fun. So, what the heck happened here? Also, in levels, there's some exploration value, which is kind of nice. Makes the levels slightly better than what I was, talking about earlier. Because you can go and find treasure. Now, treasure boxes have either money in them, supplies like health or, energy for your beam katana, or they have random knickknacks for your house. Yes, you can deck out your hotel. Now, the problem is it's not customizable, so when you find something, it just goes up. Some of them are little replicas of weapons that the bosses used, and some of them are just random decorations. You can actually get a straight-up model of the Death Parade and the Gastonberry, the mech that Travis rides around in during that boss fight. both of which can be hanging up in your house. Now, isn't that fun? You can also go to your house and play small mini-games with Gene, or a bullet hell based on the anime that Travis likes to watch. The one with the weird Lolita girls. Anyway, so that's it. There's not much to do here, but what is here is pretty fun stuff, actually. I kind of like it. So, yeah, let's wrap this up, shall we? So, overall, what does this game have to offer that the other game doesn't have? Well, the gameplay improvements are definitely nice, and it's really good that you don't have to do side quests just to progress the main quest. This is awesome. The side quests are even better, but they're also optional. Great! So those things are improved. However, everything else, to me, takes a bit of a down seat. Don't get me wrong. When the boss fights are good, they are some of the best in the series, but when they're bad, they are easily some of the worst. And that's kind of a way to wrap this game up. Everything that it does good, it does great. It's some of the best in the two-game series. But when it's bad, it's also some of the worst, and that's very problematic. That kind of makes the game a bit run-of-the-mill. I think there's more good here than there is bad. And honestly, when it comes to liking the first game better than the second one, I'm part of a minority in that from what I can tell. But, all in all, I can't really recommend this game as much as I can the first. There's just some meh to it. Most of the bad boss fights are kind of dead set in the middle with a few good ones here and there. But the majority of the game, to me, is a bit of a lower quality when it comes to level design, specifically, and characterization. Thankfully, the end characterization, not counting the end boss, is really good. Travis's characterization is phenomenal and will most likely keep you going, and the gameplay is terrific. Honestly, really good stuff here. But the story is fundamentally weaker in this regard. Don't get me wrong, it's perfectly fine because it's a motivation for Travis to continue onward and build as a character. But because Travis is building as a character with some of the weaker boss fight characters, it kind of gets a little muddled. And yeah, Shinobu is there, and her character's fine, but her gameplay sucks so much that I don't think it matters much. And Henry's briefly playable, but it's so brief that it's almost forgettable. In fact, I almost forgot it a couple of times. Yeah, anyway. But yeah, there's better secrets and side quests because the side quests are actually side quests, and you can just focus on using them to build up your, few limited weapons that you can actually buy. For some reason, you can only buy like one weapon and a few upgrades. 2 weapons, actually, because Tsubaki Mark III is for sale again. Weird. Anyway, most of it goes to clothes and upgrading Travis. And those minigames, unfortunately, suck. But for the most part, it's pretty decent. Look, all in all, I do love this game. I think it's a really good game. But when it comes to me looking into the game and trying to recommend it to other people, I can't really do that unless you're from a specific crowd. If you like big robot battles, then I can recommend one boss fight. If you like death, I can recommend the game, sure. And if you like gameplay and, some really good boss fights, I can recommend half of the game to you. That's where the big draw lies, and that's where I kinda end up liking the first game more. Yes, it's a hassle to have to do the side quests, which aren't as fun as the ones in this game, but overall, I think the first game is a better experience. So, maybe that's why it didn't sell well. I don't know. But, unfortunately, the next time you see me, guys, I'm going to be finishing Devil May Cry 5. After I'm done with Devil May Cry 5, then I'm going to run right into the newest that just came out this year, No More Heroes games. So the next couple of games that you see from me are going to be brand new, just came out 2019 video games with Devil May Cry 5 and No More Heroes Travis Strikes Back. Both of which, again, came out this year. So, until then, guys, take care, and have a good time. Oh, and if you guys like the video, please like, share, bell icon, comment. All of this stuff really helps me out in the end, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.